it for your great-great-children not yet born. Say what? Vote! And this is the last one. I want you to say it for the Charlie Wilson of DeKalb County politics. That's Mike Thurman. I'm an old player, but I'm still playing. I want you to say it. I want you to say it so that the old folk like me who can't hear that well no more, I want you to say it one more time. Say what? Say what? Say what? Say what? Say what?
Hello, DeKalb. Happy holidays. And welcome to the 5th District of DeKalb, Georgia. I am Marita Davis Johnson serving you. I want you to know that DeKalb is ready to send Ossoff and Warnock to the U.S. Senate. We have 13 early voting locations. We have 34 drop boxes, and we're going to do it like the AFAs told us to do it. We're going to stroll to the polls. We're going to stroll to the polls. Okay, now while we're going to stroll to the polls, because education is on the ballot. Health care is on the ballot. Child care is on the ballot. Climate change is on the ballot. And I could go on and on and on. So we need, this country needs, but Georgia needs Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff in the U.S. Senate. So I want to say we've already in DeKalb County have 200,000 plus that has already voted. We need you to tell your family, your friends, your enemies, your ex to come out and let's vote. So we want to stroll to the poll. We got to stroll to the polls. And we got enough locations for wherever you want to go vote, you can go. And then we have the 34 drop boxes that you can just drop your ballot in the bowl. So I say, my daughter went today to South DeKalb. She took her friends and encouraged them to take their friends. And so when I was talking to her, she was asking me, she was telling me about her friend's electric bill. It was just a little too high. So I told her to tell your friend to go vote, because Daniel Blackwell is on the ballot. And he's running for what? Public Service Commission. So we need to, Commissioner, so we need to vote. If you want your utilities regulated properly, if you want your stimulus check, I say we're fired up and ready to go. What do y'all say? We fired up, we're ready to go. Fired up, ready to go. So everybody, let's stroll to the polls. Let's stroll to the polls. Let's say it. Let's stroll to the polls. Let's stroll to the poll. Thank you. Vote.
Hello, DeKalb. We've all heard how important it is to vote, and I've got faith that we're going to win this election for these 2 Senate seats and for the Georgia Public Service Commission. But having faith without action is what? Not much. Dead. So I want to ask everyone here who I know you're already voting or you've already voted to please help get out the vote. I've signed up for a canvassing shift with the coordinated campaign. I've had more people knock on my door in these last 2 months than in the last 2 election cycles, or maybe more than that. I hope y'all feel the energy, but people are struggling right now, and sometimes voting it's on the list, but it's near the bottom. They got to take care of a lot of important things. So it's our job to bring our energy to their doors, to their phones, maybe a text message. Remind 3 friends, neighbors, family to vote within your circle. And then when you get that text message from the coordinated campaign to sign up for a day of action, a canvas shift, anytime between now and January 5th, do it and get others to join you. It is so gratifying to see people answer the door, all that's going on. They say, you know what, I totally forgot there's a runoff. I guarantee you we will find people out there who have forgotten there's an election. But we're here to remind them. And here in DeKalb, we are Georgia's blue wall. When we turn out, we turn Georgia blue. We did it in November, and we're going to do it again in January. Thank you all.
Check, 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 check. Okay.
I thought I would get a little more love. Are we still having a good time? Yeah, make some noise. Okay. I love that. I want to thank you, all the commissioners, and everybody who just came up here and spoke. I hope that y'all were listening because they were dropping gems. Period. Okay, to start things off right, I want to introduce Atlanta native BRS Cash to the stage.
Check. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Let's do it, bro. Yeah. If you know this sing along, I had that switched up a little bit. Hey. I need everybody to go vote now. Check. We need everybody to vote today, baby. Hey. Cicilla, I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Let's all go walk to the poll. It's about time to cast the vote. Vote, baby. I'm finna come vote with you. Vote, baby. And all my friends come in too. Cicilla, I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Let's all go walk to the poll. It's about time to cast the vote. Vote, baby. I'm finna come vote with you. Vote, baby. And now my friends come in too. Got a little Honda, just if you want it. There's a little 40, gotta go right now. It ain't hard, go right now. Just be smart, no cap gown. Since the first time been feeding, couldn't even believe it. Catch my belly, then don't leave it. Made it count, I must be dreaming. It don't close until the evening. Watch the machine trick, ooh. Shawty got mean grip, ooh. Know what she came to do, turn up with DG, ooh. Set up appointment, she's so smart, need her anointing. Way too good, may buy you something. Man, the whole song, he got ain't front. I go to war for you. What else? I go to war for you. What else? Man, they got me tripping. BOA make me call instant. She ain't gotta have for a tear. Cause I'ma get to him. Money I get to him. Vote right now, let's get to him. What else? I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Let's all go walk to the pole. Cash, cast the vote. Vote, baby. I'm finna combo with you. Vote, baby. And all my friends come in too. Say hello. I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Let's all go walk to the pole. It's about time to cast the vote. Vote, baby. I'm finna combo with you. Vote, baby. And all my friends come in too. What else? Set a little red bone, yeah. Gotta get head on. Set a little red bone, yeah. I got the bag on. With a mouth like that, she can talk away. I'm going to jail. With a mouth like that, you can go to jail. I pay your jail. I need you. Wanna see you. Vote in and out. Gonna be quick, let me take this shower. When we meet, I get excited. She gon' ride it. No relations, didn't fight. Real life vibes, I feel excited. Girl, I got plans for you. What else? Got a couple bands for you. What else? I like this band for you. Pull up and vote like right now. Vote right now. Right now. Right now. Vote right now. I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Let's all go walk to the pole. It's about time to cast the vote. Vote, baby. I'm finna combo with you. Vote, baby. And all my friends come in too. I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Let's all go walk to the pole. It's about time to cast the vote. Vote, baby. I'm finna combo with you. Vote, baby. And all my friends come in too. Yeah. Hey, if you want to make a change, early election is already started. I need everybody to go vote by January the 5th. We need to paint Georgia blue. We need to get both of those Senate seats. So I need everybody to go vote for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Right. Let's go. BRS Cash.
Make some noise for Cash right
vote
now.
Vote right now.
Make some noise for Cash.
Make
some
vote
noise
count.
for Cash.
Okay, BRS Cash. I am feeling the vote, baby. All right, so what a great way to get this started. So next, I'd like to welcome to the stage the queen of Grand Hustle Music Group. And she lives in Georgia now. And guess what? She voted for Warnock and Ossoff, too. Give it up for Tokyo Jets. Make some noise.
I need y'all to make some more noise. If you ever gotta choose, it's me and the next. Nigga, pick the next. I ain't going back and forth. This ain't a young and a restless. Colder than a necklace.
Yeah.
I'ma have to show you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to control you. Say my name, and I'ma show you. Just gotta make me hope.
What up, Joe?
Now you all up in my text, I'ma leave them on red. Need all apologies and blue hands with some head. Must think that I'm a joke. You must think that I'm a game, boy. Like you gon' drive me crazy. You all like your name, boy. Must think I'm probably regular. I'm regular way too well, but they see me out of public trying to speak like what you staring at. Why my work for fuck, then he get work from. Only have fun. Tell that you just want fun. Treat me like a I'ma show you. Make me have to hold you. Flexing on the gram and I'ma let them people know you. Tell that you home. You wanna be me and I put it on my mama. Let me check you. Welcome with respect. It's me and the next. Nigga, pick the next shit. I ain't going back for this.
away from this situation, I want all y'all to understand you can leave from here and vote. You can walk away from here and vote. If you already have it, make sure you vote. It's more important for me because I got a son. This is my baby over here. And I just want to make sure that everything I do make things easier for him. Because a lot of people that come before me, places where I come from, don't understand the importance of voting. So make sure, again, y'all walk away from here knowing you can vote today. Come on, Sosa.
Let's do it.
Drop it.
Make sure you vote, make sure you vote. Let's talk to him, talk.
Like, let me get him, need no but no paper, can you holler? I don't need no problem, no.
Forget that.
You probably gotta come with a kid, come with a ring, come with a crib, and I ain't got no time to chill with no. Like, let me get him, need no but no paper, can you holler? I don't need no problem, no.
Forget that.
You probably gotta come with a kid, come with a ring, come with a crib, and I ain't got no time to chill with no.
I can't be
With no, baby, with no, cause my way too good to let you put it in your beat. With your message, be in my DM, steady reaching, tweaking, going live, in that, going fast. That's great, but you can't put me in my place. You ain't even on my level. It's like dancing with the devil. Tell me, not stupid. I see you lurking on fake pages, please don't make me hurt your feelings. Don't come at me as a woman. Don't put me in your business. You know, go out your children, split that lip, kick them out, make them move. I ain't playing games, but I ain't never played the lose. Like, let me get them, need no but no paper, can you holler? I don't need no problem, no.
Forget that.
You probably gotta come with a kid, come with a ring, come with a crib, and I ain't got no time to chill with no. Like, let me get them, need no but no paper, can you holler? I don't need no problem, no.
Forget that.
You probably gotta come with a kid, come with a ring, come with a crib, and I ain't got no time to chill with no. Hey, picture this, we out of town, we took a trip, cause we was bored. On the phone late night, he tryna tell me he in love. He tryna meet my mama. I done let him ride like 80. Go met my daddy. He want me to have his baby, no.
Forget that.
Swear he ain't got no chick, but she all on Facebook. She posting pictures with his shit. And I just blocked his number. He keep calling back to back. I just did you a favor. How you acting like you mad? Busy. I should've just been prepared to pick up like
We busy.
you aggravate, leave me alone. I sent his dog home, and you love his dog. She like this where he belong.
Yeah, you dumber than I thought. For real.
Like, let me get him, need no but no paper, can you holler? I don't need no problem, no.
Forget that.
You probably gotta come with a kid, come with a ring, come with a crib, and I ain't got no time to chill with no. Like, let me get him, need no but no paper, can you holler? I don't need no problem, no.
Forget that.
You probably gotta come with a kid, come with a ring, come with a crib, and I ain't
Got no time to chill with no rookie.
Hey, I need y'all to make some noise for all the young people out here. I need y'all to make more noise than that. Hey, I just want to speak to everybody over here for sure. Like, everybody singing my songs. As hard as y'all know my songs, make sure y'all know what y'all stand for. Make sure y'all know what these politicians giving people like you. And make sure you walk away from here and know who you voting for. Hey, I love y'all.
I'm a guy in a giant. She's a Barbie thing. I probably won't buy you.
Check 1 2.
Kingpin, you a pen king.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Again, never been shit, never had shit, never knew shit, never out, never do shit, damn, but a nigga never gave do shit. Never been.
Hello, folks. I'm Mayor Jason Larry, just a regular guy from Macon, Georgia. But I'm also visionary, founder, and mayor of this great city of Stonecrest, Georgia. Thanks for coming, and thanks for showing up on such an important day at such a critical time. Unfortunately, I am unable to be here today, but wanted to stop by and tell you a few things on behalf of my ancestors and yours who died for the right to vote, and on behalf of another humble Georgia guy, my friend, Reverend Raphael Warnock. No doubt about it. It's been a tough, tough year. Over 330,000 souls have been lost to coronavirus. And folks, jobs have vanished because of the virus, unemployment sky high, food line for miles, folks just flat scared because of all the uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen next or where to turn. We're trying our best to make things as normal as we can this holiday season, but there's nothing normal about it. And voting beyond November after the presidential election is not normal either. So let's keep making history right here in Georgia, right here in Stonecrest. We received gifts this past weekend. We gave them. Voting is also a gift and a privilege. Our health and financial security is on the line for our community. We gotta show up. Justice, jobs, and health care. For once, for sure, we have the power. More than ever, we now have the power. Our future is now. It's on you. It's in your hands. It's in mine. Let's go. Let's show up. Vote right now at our early voting location right across at Turner Hill. This is your visionary, founder and mayor, Jason Larry.
Hey, I'm back. Did you guys miss me? I know I missed y'all too. Okay, but let's get these cars and these horns honking for JID. Yes, they better be a real fan.
You know what's crazy? I got my ear so I gotta take my mask off first. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so awkward. Alright, drop that shit. Let's do it, bro. Let's have fun one time. My name is JID. Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah! Okay, never been, never had, never knew, never out, never do shit, but a nigga never gave to. Whoa, whoa, never been a. Now I got a rollie on the wrist, never had. I'ma take, never ask, can't give me this, give me that. Okay, okay, hands up, never been, never had, never knew, never out, never do, but a nigga never gave to. Whoa, whoa, never been a. Now I got a rollie on the wrist. Yeah, okay, check. Look, okay, never had a real dollar to my name, bro. She been lame, bro. I ain't even in this shit for the fame, bro. It's the pain, bro. Most of the niggas I came up with,
say what?
Heavy came up and doing the same stuff, but that heavy came up. Whoa. This really ain't nothing. Niggas thinking that it was jig. Y'all got the game up. Wow, tremendous lead came with a mind never meant to fiend no deep in his depth when he in too deep. I crept on the steps where the demons lead to yell bells to the Lord what he means to me. Oh my God, did we mean to me? We arrive on a beat in 3. It is not what it seems to be. I could die, I can fly, I can try very easily.
I'm a guy in the giant, she's a bird,
take flight, no pilot. Surf, curb, no bias. Back up, bad timing. I gotta get on stage, you better get on page. I hate you looking out the window, painting in no rain or anything but in the way. If I say this, what it is, forget to live. What's my point? I forget.
This bitch.
I been picking up my scripts up and shit. I got this. Get it to the point. I everybody say they from the block and shit, but Glocks and shit and popping, pippin', trapping, sipping lean. Y'all niggas fall for anything. You got a plug and man, I ain't kingpin. You a pin king.
Kingpin, you a pin king.
Bye niggas in sync. Try I nigga risky. Fuck for the wrist piece. They shoot like the wood. Never been shit. Never had shit. Never knew what.
Never out, never do shit down, but a nigga never gave to shit.
Whoa, never been a bitch. Now I got a rollie on the wrist. Never had shit, never take, never ask.
Give me that shit, give me everything, nigga, fuck you.
Honk your horns one time, Georgia. Make some noise one time. My name is JID, bro. I'm trying to keep the cuss words out. We got to keep it family friendly. Make sure you get out there and vote. Let's try this. Let's try. Working out. Cool. Okay, I'm finna try and sing right quick. Yeah, take your heart, don't let me break it in two. I'm sure that I could possibly do nothing for you. I'm nearly on the edge, I'm about to jump in the few. I'm really not afraid of nothing. Okay, take your heart, don't let me break it in two. I'm sure that I could possibly do nothing for you. I'm nearly on the edge, I'm about to jump in the few. I'm really not afraid of nothing. Okay, everybody, if you out here, can you put 2 hands in the sky? That's all I ask for, just put 2 hands in the sky. Everybody, if you outside, if you gonna vote, make sure you put 2 hands in the sky. Do exactly what I do. Do exactly what I do. Do exactly what I do. Keep your mask on though. Check, look, dog, on everything I gave, everything, it got nothing back. Ain't looking for no pat on backs, that ain't how we got, where the we at? Mama car, where the you at? On the road and I ain't coming back into my 100 stacks, make 100 racks, that 100 racks, bring a bundle back. I was blowing gas like the honey badger, JID, the money snatcher, say la beach, I'm coming after everybody, don't get the bloody splatter. I'm flying, I got my niggas fly too, it's like buddy passes. I wanna cry cause I'm never tired. If you wonder why, ask what's the matter. I've been working hella hard, shit ain't really working out. I've been praying to the Lord, shit ain't really working out. I've been looking to the stars, keep my head up in the clouds. Shit ain't really working out. Shit ain't really working out. Shit ain't really working out. Make some noise, honk your horns, go crazy one time, Georgia.
Don't explain.
Yeah, y'all fire as hell.
What is there to gain?
Yeah, check. Okay, it ain't really working out. Now I got a little bread. Got the homies working out. Shouty your ass fat. Woo, I can see you working out. And you got a new job. Tell me how that you working out. Heard you doing pretty good, yeah. People talk word of mouth. Wasn't around when you had the dirty house. Didn't for a nigga now. What I let out my niggas, you know the difference. You been living with tunnel vision. You and all of your friends are like Wonder Woman working for it. If you ever wanted something, searching for a purpose, I see what you want. Difference in how you be using your gifts and the missing the shit you do dealing with really specific. Pay attention, panorama, you got the vision like a fertile land. You attacking, you kill it. Sinking your teeth with the venom. Kinda like me with the instrumentals or the pen or the pencil. While all the pimpin' since been pimpin'. Keep it sensible since you winning. You an object of ridicule. Obvious appear closer than you ready for. Obviously you don't know what's ahead. That's the reason you can work the Shit ain't really working out. I've been praying to the Lord.
Shit ain't really working out.
I've been looking to the stars. Keep my head up in the clouds. Shit ain't really working out. Shit ain't really working out. Shit ain't really working out. I make some noise for yourselves one time.
Throw some of that Dreamville money. Throw some of that Dreamville money at these hoes, bruh. They got dreams too, nigga.
All right, we're gonna do like a couple more and I'm gonna get out of here. If you having a good time, make some noise for yourselves one time, Georgia. Y'all are tight. It's my hometown. I actually used to go to this church right here. And I went to Stevenson, bro. I see you with the Stevenson hoodie on one time for the east side. I play down. Oh, wait, play down, bro. Yeah. Tell us, Slime.
Yeah, I am the king of the E. Hey, get this bitch screw DJ.
Yeah.
I am the sit where we play.
Okay.
Yeah, come through the sit, we gon' chop your ass just like some sushi. AK down stick, go stupid.
Look, okay, Lil Dirty Nappy headed East Atlanta nigga father said it that was a force. 44 Hank and Chrome wanna make it home, then get out the porch. Let a nigga cover faded for I had to fade a nigga at the faded for. It's a made was a motto, either boy the greatest player, I won't say it no more. I was just messed up. I had to tighten I was with the crown, board of education versus Brown. I was bored with education, left the town, hug a resume, hug a cabin gown, hug a background, get background. If I get a check, okay, I was just messed up. I had to tighten the fuck up, but I'm here with the crown. Whoa, shit, I was just fucked up. I was just down bad. I had to tighten up, but I'm here with the crown. Make some noise for the crown one time. Make some noise for the town, bro. We in a, all right, I'm gonna do one more and I'm gonna get up out of here. I hope y'all having a good time. This is great. Y'all make sure y'all vote. Early voting already started. You know what I'm saying? Make your decisions. Use your voice. Yeah. Open up, dude. Open the mouth. Yeah. Whoa. Hands up. Get 'em up. I hope I don't catch Corona up here with no mask. Check. Okay. Run, Ricky, run, nigga, run, jump, come, and they come. Run. Jump with the drum, bump, bitty, bump, thump in the trunk, my city go. Dump. 151, rhyme in a blunt, young nigga, nom, and they got a little bitty killer really doing it for fun. Give him a little bitty here, get it. What? Son of a guy, son of a woman and man, son of a son, and the suck in the bitch, some in the plan. Come with the script, come with my back, come with man. Come with the blitz, look at the stat, shit like a magician. What? It's a relax, I play bluff for this. Taking G from the government, cereal box with the bugs in it. Hand me down this brother. Don't compare me to no other niggas in the city, boy, they said it. Can with you, heebie-jeebie, that's a bit disgusting, but I get it. Full of tension, full of spirit, but full of shit. To the next to the tank when that bullet hit him, shit, I miss him. Wishes that bullet miss him, but it didn't. Since I've been living with it like a infinite rhymes, give me double time, and ticket time bomb, taking the finish line, look alive, look at my eyes, look at you niggas troll. Yeah, dumb, better run around, cause we trying to. East side, where you from, niggas wildin'. Be silent before they come and creep silent with street knowledge, complete lines. Yeah. Killer my nigga. Pull up with the fire, get a minute. Hit if you got a ride. With a ride in your life, diabolical minds, I don't mind it. Like it, I love it. I fuck with you, you a thug, I'm a thug with you. We can bug it, I fuck with you, I got love for you. Okay, run, Ricky, run, jump, nigga, jump, come in it. Run. Top with the drum, bomb, bitty, bump, slump in the trunk, my city go. 151, rum in the blood, y'all nigga, nom, and he got a little gun. A little bitty killer really doing it for fun. Give him a little bit, make some noise for yourselves one time. Hey, that's my time, bro. I appreciate y'all, bro. I can't do that, bro. Y'all have a good time. Appreciate y'all. My name is JID. Make sure y'all get out there and vote. Make your decision. Use your voice. Yeah.
boom, boom, vote. Boom, boom, vote. Okay. All right, so are we still feeling good out there? I need to hear y'all. Are we still feeling good? Are we still ready to vote? Mind you guys, you know, you can go vote after this performance. Early voting. I just wanted to, if you didn't know, I'm putting you down. Okay. Now it is my pleasure to welcome our next speaker to the stage. A real leader in our community who has been fighting for our community day in and day out. Your next public service commissioner, Daniel Blackman. Let's make some noise.
United States Senate races and your next public service commissioner. So here's what I want to do first and foremost. DeKalb, on behalf of Jon and Raphael and myself, we want to thank you for helping us to get this far, but we still have work to do. So I want everybody in DeKalb County to know that while we did a great thing for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the work in Georgia doesn't end till January 5th. And the real work begins the next day. So for those that don't know, I want to take a couple of minutes with all the music, all the entertainment, and all that we've had today, which is great for DeKalb and great for Georgia. I want to introduce you to those that don't know me. My name is Daniel Blackman, and I'm privileged to be your next public service commissioner in the state of Georgia. In Georgia, we have the 5th, I need y'all to hear this. In Georgia, we have the 5th highest electric rates in the United States and the 8th highest overall utility bills. In other words, Georgia, thank you for that horn. In other words, Georgia pays 3 times the national average of what folks are supposed to pay for their utility bill. In Georgia, we have a nuclear project that's 5 years behind schedule and $14.5 billion over budget that ratepayers pay for. But DeKalb County, Stonecrest, on January 5th, we can change that. We can change the struggles of so many families that have been left behind around this state. We can help our children in Georgia who lack access to wireless broadband and high-speed internet. Now, I don't know about you, but what COVID-19 has shown us is how unprepared of a governor we have and how unprepared the state of Georgia has been. Because when you leave not too far out of DeKalb County, you realize that a lot of Georgia counties have been left behind. That a lot of our children who are struggling to keep up with their homework have fallen victim because their parent may be out of work. And in the words of one of the next speakers you'll hear, Reverend Raphael Warnock, a parent's income should never determine their children's outcome. And too often in this state, failed policies and challenges have crippled our children's ability to succeed and to learn. And the fact that in the state of Georgia, 88% of our prison population reads at a 3rd grade level is a problem. When children around this state are faced with an option between school and prison, I have a problem with that. And that's why it's important to elect Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock as your next 2 United States senators. Not just because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris need the Senate majority, which they do, but Georgia needs fearless leadership that's going to expand health care, that's going to fight for criminal justice reform, and that's going to make sure situations like what happened to Ahmaud Arbery never happen again in this state. Now, while I know and I recognize our 2 U.S. Senate races are of the utmost importance, Georgia, I want you to understand that the Public Service Commission is a pocketbook issue race. It's a race that does something that Republicans have failed to do, especially the past outgoing administration, which has cut 125 environmental protections in this country, including places like Juliet, Georgia, and Burke County, Georgia, where the coal ash problem has contaminated our water at levels higher than what we saw in Flint. In areas around this state that we don't talk about because of the fact that black children in the United States get asthma 3 times the national average. Our environment matters, and it's on the ballot on January 5th. Our water matters, and it's on the ballot on January 5th. But more importantly, this race gives us an opportunity to fight the climate crisis in Georgia and around the country. Now, I don't know about you, but this administration has clearly shown that they don't believe in science. Honk for me if you believe in science. Well then, what you're telling us is that Georgia is going to play a role in the climate fight, and that's why, as your next public service commissioner, I pledge to you to expand solar in this state and other renewable energy to make sure that our children don't have to struggle with asthma and that our families and our communities have the best opportunities to succeed in this state and in their counties. So DeKalb County, if you're ready to elect 2 United States senators, if you're ready to send me to be Georgia's next statewide constitutional officer, something that hasn't been done in almost 20 years, and here's the thing, when we win on January 5th, all we do in 2 years is we take back the governor's mansion, we get a secretary of state that can count votes, we work around this state to have an attorney general that can protect our elections, and what we do more than anything else is we prove to this nation that what happened on November 3rd wasn't a fluke. What happened on November 3rd wasn't an anomaly. What happened on November 3rd and what will happen again on January 5th is who we are. It's what we've built. It's who DeKalb County is. It's who Georgia is. And it's who we'll continue to be for decades to come. Thank you all so much, and God bless you.
What's going on, DeKalb County? Hey, South DeKalb. Great to see you. Y'all didn't know I used to work on Panola Road. My folks still live in DeKalb County. Great to see you, DeKalb. DeKalb County, the polls are open. The polls are open, DeKalb County, so say it with me now. Say vote. Say vote. It is so good to be here. I want to thank the Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church for the hospitality. Thank you, Dr. Bryant. I want to thank all of you for coming out today. I want to recognize someone I've come to know as a friend. Join me in giving a warm South DeKalb County welcome, a warm Stonecrest welcome to the Reverend Raphael Warnock. Reverend Warnock. We were just talking last night. We've been looking forward to this all week. And DeKalb County, I want you to reflect on how far we've come. I want you to reflect on how far we've come in the state of Georgia, how far we've come in the American South. Georgia is the most competitive battleground state in the United States. All eyes are on Georgia, DeKalb County. The whole country is watching Georgia voters to see what we will do at this historic moment. And think about how far we've come, DeKalb County, that your standard bearers, are the young Jewish journalist, son of an immigrant, and a black preacher who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Think about how far we've come, DeKalb County. And we're running against like the Bonnie and Clyde of corruption in politics. Y'all, how do we wind up with David and Kelly? Rev, how do we wind up with David and Kelly? Hey, say it with me now. Say vote. Say vote. See, we deserve better, DeKalb County, than two United States senators who saw a pandemic as a chance to enrich themselves but have blocked relief for the people they represent for 8 months. We deserve better, DeKalb County. We will not forget that Senator David Perdue, the same man who called his broker to buy medical and vaccine stock when he found out what was coming, opposed even the first round of $1,200 checks for his own constituents. David Perdue does not care about us. David Perdue does not care about us. And $600 is a joke, DeKalb County. You send me and Reverend Warnock to the U.S. Senate, we will put money in your pocket because the gas bill is due, the rent's overdue, the credit cards are maxed out. We are hurting through no fault of their own, and you deserve better. DeKalb County, say it with me now. Say vote. Say vote. See, the ballot box is where we hold those who represent us accountable. The ballot box is where we exercise our power as a people. And right now, Georgia has the power to make history. DeKalb County has the power to make history. Feel that power, DeKalb County. With 9 days to go, 8 days to go. Because this is about where we go next as a people. We have better and bigger things to discuss than David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. We have the power to write the next chapter in American history, DeKalb County, because Donald Trump is leaving. Donald Trump is leaving, and Georgia voters sent Donald Trump packing. You did that. Feel your power, DeKalb County. So now, DeKalb County, we have the power to decide what comes next. And it's time to stand up and vote like we have never voted before, to demand health and jobs and justice. To demand health and jobs and justice for the people, for all the people. DeKalb County, do you believe, like I do and like Reverend Warnock does, that health care is a human right? And not just a privilege for those who have enough money in their bank accounts or live in the right zip code. DeKalb County, do you believe health care is a human right? I was down in Cuthbert, Georgia about 6 days ago. Y'all, they lost their hospital in October. This is the United States of America. In Cuthbert, Georgia, the hospital closed in the middle of a pandemic. We are the wealthiest and most powerful country in the world. Health care is a human right, and if you elect me and Reverend Warnock to the U.S. Senate, we will deliver the resources to reopen the 9 hospitals that have closed in Georgia in the last 10 years, to build clinics that will serve every community in this state, because we all deserve access to the best health care in the world as Americans, DeKalb County. This is about health and jobs and justice for the people. Let's talk about jobs. For 8 months, with DeKalb County small businesses operating at 20 or 30% capacity, with millions out of work, with bills coming due, mortgages due, child care costs, prescription costs, Washington has left you high and dry. And now they're sending $600. $600 is a joke. And look, here's the bottom line. The COVID relief that we need, that DeKalb County needs, that Georgia needs, it depends upon winning these 2 U.S. Senate races. Because if Mitch McConnell retains control of the United States Senate, he will try to do to Joe and Kamala exactly like he tried to do to President Obama. They will block the COVID relief that we need. They will block the $15 minimum wage that we deserve as Americans. They will block the student debt relief that young people in this country are crying out for. They will block the expansion of the Pell Grant program we can pass so that no Georgian has to take on a penny of debt to get a 4-year degree from a public college or from an HBCU. We have good work to do, DeKalb County. We can pass the most ambitious jobs, relief, infrastructure, and clean energy program in American history. We can create tens of thousands of jobs across this state, upgrading our public schools, building new clinics and hospitals, expanding broadband internet access, upgrading transit and transportation so we can get around our communities affordably. We have so much good work to do, and we should feel excited, DeKalb County, about the opportunity to do this work for the people. We've had 4 years of hatred, racism, division, and fear. It's time we had a politics that was founded on love, empathy, decency, compassion, respect for human rights. DeKalb County has the power. Georgia has the power to set the tone for the next several decades in this country. To demand health and jobs and justice for the people. DeKalb County, let's talk about justice. Let's talk about justice. See, my mother came to this country as an immigrant when she was 23 years old. She came here alone as a young woman because she believed in what this country stands for. Let me be clear that that doesn't mean she indulged some kind of fantasy about American history. That doesn't mean she didn't recognize how much further we had to go, but she believed this country was on a journey toward fully realizing our founding ideals of equality in God's eyes and equal justice under the law. Equal justice under the law. The 14th Amendment of our Constitution already guarantees equal protection. But when Ahmaud Arbery is shot to death in broad daylight in the street on camera in Glenn County, Georgia, and the local authorities look the other way because he is a young black man, that makes a mockery of equal justice under the law. So DeKalb County, are you ready to fight to pass a new Civil Rights Act that will secure equal justice for all people regardless of race and regardless of class? Are you ready to fight to pass a new Voting Rights Act that will secure the sacred franchise for all people in this country and end voter suppression? DeKalb County, you have the power. We have the power. So I'm asking you to work these next 8 days. And I'm not asking you to work for the sake of my ambition. I'm not asking you to work for the glory of a political party. That's not what this is about. This is about the human consequences of elections. This is about the difference that we can make in our lives when we elect people who care about the people more than they care about themselves. This is about our limitless potential as a country to secure equal justice for all, to establish health care as a human right, to ensure every one of us can do dignified work that pays a living wage. So DeKalb County, are you ready to work for health and jobs and justice? Are you ready to organize and mobilize and knock on doors and call your neighbors and get your church out and get your neighborhood out and get your family out like we have never done before? Then DeKalb County, let's get this done. Let's make a statement that echoes from coast to coast about what Georgia stands for, about what we the people stand for. It's time to work, DeKalb County. It's time to vote. So say it with me one more time. Say vote. Say vote. And now join me in welcoming the Reverend Raphael Warnock to the stage.
Hello, DeKalb County. What's up? You sound like you're ready to win an election. Before I go any further, let's hear it for my brother from another mother, Jon Ossoff. So grateful for his voice, grateful for the ways in which he is grounded morally with clear vision about what's at stake in this defining moment in American history. And I'm honored to run alongside him in this work to secure health, jobs, and justice. That's the work we must do. Say it, health, jobs, justice. I'm Raphael Warnock. I'm deeply honored to be running for the United States Senate. And it is really amazing when I think about the arc of my own story and its connection to the arc of the American story. I was born and raised in public housing, one of 12 children in my family. I'm number 11 out of 12. Clearly my folks read that text in the Bible that says, be fruitful and multiply. They took it rather seriously. I'm number 11 out of 12. I'm the first graduate of a 4-year college in my immediate family. I got there through hard work, grit, and determination, a sense of personal responsibility. But that alone didn't do it. I got there also because somebody gave me some Pell Grants. That's good federal public policy. Somebody gave me some low-interest student loans. In other words, somebody gave me a path to pursue the American dream. I was raised in Savannah. My father's from Scriven County. It's spelled with an E, but it's pronounced Scriven. That's how you know if you're really from there, Scriven County and Burke County. My mother is from Waycross, Georgia. You know where that is? It's Waycross, Georgia. And as a black teenager growing up in the 1950s, she grew up picking somebody else's tobacco, somebody else's cotton. But because we live in America, because we are busy and engaged in the work of building a more perfect union, last week the 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton was able to pick her youngest son to be a United States Senator from the great state of Georgia. Only in America is my story even possible. And so I'm honored in this moment. And I'm focused on the work that we must do together. Because there are folk who are engaged in the politics of division and distraction. Folks who have no vision engage in division. They do not know how to lead us, and so they try to divide us. And it's our job right now to stand up and reclaim our belief in the American promise, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. We are one Georgia. We are one America. We are one people. And come January 5th, the people of Georgia are coming to get their seats back. Are you ready to win this election? We got work to do. And I'm ready to work. Are you ready to work? My parents instilled in me the values of compassion and hard work. Told you my mom grew up picking cotton in Waycross, Georgia. My dad was a veteran. Let's hear it for all of our veterans. Come on, let's hear it for the folk who stand up for us, who do the hard work. But we've got to do more than cheer for our veterans. We got to make sure that when they come back home, we act like we remember what they did when they were away. They shouldn't have to fight just to get health care. They should not have to wait weeks and months just to get an appointment at the VA. We got to stand up for our veterans. Let's hear for them one more time. My dad was a veteran and a preacher and a small businessman. He preached at a small church on Gwinnett Street in Savannah on Sundays. But he spent most of his days picking up old junk cars and loading them on the back of a rig and taking them to Chatham Steel. And that's how he took care of his family, picking up old junk cars and old scrap metal that other folk had thrown away. And then on Sunday morning, the junk man became the preacher man, and he preached to folk who themselves felt thrown away. And he reminded them that our God is a junk man who goes around picking up all the other folk that other folk have thrown away. Because God sees our value. And that's the gospel that he preached. It's the gospel that my friend and classmate from Morehouse College, Jamal Bryant, preaches from this church. Let's hear it for Reverend Bryant. That's the work we must do together. So my dad would wake me up every morning, 6 o'clock. And he'd say, son, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. He didn't care what day of the week it was. Could have been Saturday or Sunday, school year or summertime. Get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. One day I asked him, get ready for what? He said, I don't know, I'll figure that out later. Just put your shoes on, get ready. He believed that you should be ready, come what may. Now, that was irritating when I was 7 years old and 10 years old and 12 years old and 14 years old. But now that I'm standing here on this stage in this defining moment in American history, I'm glad my dad woke me up every morning and didn't let me sleep too late, because I want you to know that I'm ready. I'm ready to be a United States Senator from the great state of Georgia. I'm ready to stand up for health care because I believe that health care is a human right. You can tell what someone will do when they're in office based on what they were doing before they ever ran. I'm not saying that I believe that health care is a human right because I'm running. Check the record. Please check the record, because some folk are trying to misrepresent my record. I've been saying that for years. When we were trying to pass the Affordable Care Act, I was preaching about it from the pulpit of Ebenezer Baptist Church because Dr. King understood that health care is a human right. And when Georgia refused to expand Medicaid in this state, I went to the governor's office along with other activists. And I was holding a placard with a quote from Dr. King that said, "Of all the injustices, inequality in health care is the most shocking and the most inhumane." And we began to stage a sit-in the grand tradition of John Lewis and C.T. Vivian and Martin Luther King Jr. and Amelia Boynton and Fannie Lou Hamer and so many others. We began to stage a sit-in the governor's office, and we began to say, "Mr. Governor, you must expand Medicaid in Georgia. You can't leave hundreds of thousands of our citizens in the Medicaid gap. These are folk, many of whom work every day. They just can't afford private health insurance. They're in the gap. And after all, we're spending this money in our federal taxes. We're subsidizing health care in other states while our citizens are in the Medicaid gap." And so we began to sit in, and the Capitol Police showed up. And I wasn't mad at the Capitol Police. They were there doing their job. And I was there doing my job. When you engage in civil disobedience, you willingly accept the consequences in order to dramatize the ongoing situation of injustice. And so they said, "If you don't clear the governor's office, we're going to have to arrest you." Perhaps what they didn't understand is that in a real sense, I had already been arrested. My mind and my imagination had been arrested by this idea that we are tied in a single garment of destiny, that if my neighbor doesn't have health care, they may be uncovered, but I'm unprotected because we need one another. We should have known that before this pandemic, but surely we must know now, as we're dealing with a deadly airborne pandemic, that if my neighbor is uncovered, not only is it in their interest to have health care, it's in my interest for my neighbor to have health care. We are tied, Dr. King said, in a single garment of destiny, caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I cannot be, he said, all that I ought to be until you are all that you ought to be. And you cannot be all you ought to be until I am all that I ought to be. And so the Capitol Police came and they arrested me and others that day. And I learned my lesson. And so in 2017, when the Congress passed a $2 trillion tax giveaway to the richest of the rich, while taking resources from the poorest of the poor, because I learned my lesson, I went to the U.S. Capitol to stir up what John Lewis called good trouble. And I began to say to the elected officials that a budget is not just a fiscal document, it's a moral document. Show me a nation's budget and I will show you your values. Show me your budget and I'll show you who you think counts and who doesn't, who matters and who does not matter. And if this budget were an EKG, it would suggest that America has a heart problem. And here we are all of these years later, and as we consider a Congress that has taken 8 and 9 months to do anything, to provide just a little bit of COVID relief, and it's not nearly enough, it still seems to be the case that our leaders have a heart problem. And when you go to the polls on January 5th, you will perform moral surgery on a nation in need of heart repair. So the Capitol Police came again. So I stood in the rotunda of the Capitol, and they said, we're going to give you 3 warnings, after which we will have to arrest you. You know what happened. I kept stirring up some good trouble. And they came and carted us away. I'm not mad at them. I hope they're not mad at me. They were doing their job. I was doing my job. They took me away. I should have written down their names, because in a few weeks, I got a feeling I'm going to meet them again. But this time, they will not be escorting me to central booking. Maybe they can help me find my new office as the next United States Senator from the great state of Georgia. I want to go back to the Capitol where I can translate my activism and agitation into legislation, my protest into public policy. I want to go to the well of the Senate where I can argue on the Senate floor that health care is a human right, that we must strengthen the Affordable Care Act, that we must stand up for those with pre-existing conditions. We are America, the greatest nation on the planet. We need to stand up in our greatness in this moment. And we can do it. So we got to stand up for health care. We got to stand up for workers and a livable wage. This parable has taught us, this pandemic has taught us many things. Sometimes it's tragic on its own terms. Don't misunderstand me. The pandemic is tragic on its own terms. It is its own story. Over 300,000 Americans perished, many of them unnecessarily. But the pandemic, because I'm a preacher, I often talk about the parable of a pandemic. Because the pandemic has taught us some lessons that we should have learned a long time ago. We should have learned before that I need my neighbor to be covered because we're tied together. We are as close in our humanity as a cough. That's how close I am to you and you are to me. Doesn't matter about our skin color. Doesn't matter about our class, our gender, our sexual orientation, where we work, or whether we're able to work at all. I'm as close to you in my humanity as a cough. Something else the pandemic has taught us. It's taught us who really counts. Because all of a sudden, the very workers that we have ignored, that we have made invisible, the very folk who've been fighting for years for $15 an hour. How long have we been talking about the fight for 15? For a livable wage. And then all of a sudden, a pandemic comes. And the folk we've been ignoring, the folk who stock grocery store shelves in the middle of the night while most of us are asleep, the folk who clean up, the folk who straighten out and keep the economy moving, all of a sudden, what do we call those invisible folk? We call them essential workers. Well, if they are essential workers, we ought to pay them an essential wage. We ought to provide essential benefits. So that's the work we must do. While we're pushing our way through this pandemic, we ought to begin to think even now, not simply about how we survive this pandemic, but how we thrive. Because we're America. We do big things. We do things that other folk think are impossible. We ought to be investing in infrastructure right now. We need a major infrastructure investment in this country to repair our roads and our bridges, high-speed rail, broadband in our rural areas where you drive through rural areas of Georgia. Have you noticed? And your phone call drops because there's not enough broadband. Did you know you can't even farm efficiently if you can't get on the internet? So we ought to invest in the infrastructure, in green infrastructure and green energy jobs, provide short-term jobs, short-term relief for the economy, jobs with a livable wage, and then position the American economy to lead into the 21st century. And that's work we can do. We can do it together. But you need United States senators who are focused on the people and not focused on themselves. When Kelly Loeffler heard about the pandemic, she wasn't focused on the folk who were sheltering in. She was too busy sheltering her own portfolio, sheltering her investments. I told you before that you can tell what someone will do once they're in office based on what they were doing before they were in office. I want to say something nice about my opponent. She is consistent. She was thinking about billionaires and people like her before she went to the Senate, and that's who she's been thinking about since she's gone to the Senate. During the Great Recession, my church built a community center, and in that center, we put a financial literacy center where we were teaching people how to improve their credit scores, creating 700 credit score communities. That's what I was doing during the recession. We were teaching renters how to become homeowners. We were teaching folk with an entrepreneurial vision how to start a business. What was Kelly Loeffler doing? During the same recession, her family set up a business that provided tools so that the biggest banks in America could hide their assets in the Cayman Islands so they wouldn't have to pay taxes in the United States of America. That's what she did before she went to office. And then after she was appointed to office, and how did she get appointed? She got appointed because she is a high net worth Republican donor. She is an investment professional. I'm not casting any aspersions on investment professionals. All of us want to be able to retire comfortably someday. But she knows a good investment when she sees one. And so when she got that seat, she dumped millions of dollars of stock. When she heard about the pandemic, meanwhile playing it down for you. She said $600 was counterproductive for ordinary folk. Meanwhile, she was profiting off of the pandemic. She had been there 3 weeks. And for several days, she had made no trades, but on the very day they received the information that the rest of us didn't have, all of a sudden she began to make these stock trades. She knows a good investment when she sees it, and she didn't waste any time trying to make good on that seat that she purchased. Well, Kelly Loeffler has a problem. The folk who sold her that seat don't own it. That seat belongs to the people of Georgia, and come January 5th, the people are coming to get their seat back. Are you ready to take your seat back? It belongs to you. That's your seat. Since I'm at church, you know, let's do like we do in church. Tell your neighbor, that's your seat. I had to do that one time, you know. Come get your seat back. And let's stand together in this moment. Don't let folk divide us by the superficial differences that at the end of the day don't make a difference. Let's stand together. The problems are too big to be divided. We don't have time for United States senators. We don't have time for senators who sit down with known white supremacists. We don't have time for folk who engage QAnon conspiracy theories rife with anti-Semitism and racism. We don't have time for senators who over and over again accidentally take pictures with former members of the Ku Klux Klan. We don't have time for that. The times are too serious. The problems are too big. And I want to be fair to Senator Loeffler. I don't know why her friends are QAnon conspiracy theorists and former members of the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists. I don't know. But my mama's from Waycross, Georgia. She used to tell me that birds of a feather stick together. She should ask herself why these people are so attracted to her and to her message. She should ask herself that. We've got work to do. We need criminal justice reform. I'm not saying that because I'm running. I'm saying that because I've been working on it for years. Don't let her fool you. I have a realistic understanding of the world. We need some people to be in jail. You know, some folk got to be in jail. I get it. But, well, we're going to be nice now. The preacher's talking. But I've been working on criminal justice reform for years. My church has been expunging criminal arrest records. We were the first in Georgia to do it. We were the first place in Georgia where you could go to one place, one-stop shop, and get your criminal arrest record expunged. And why were we doing that? Because there are folk all over DeKalb County and Fulton County and all across this state who've never been convicted of anything. They have, hear me, an arrest record. And what do they ask you when you go to apply for a job? Have you ever been what? Not convicted, arrested. And these were folk who made a mistake when they were young, and 10 years had gone by, 15 years had gone by, 20 years had gone by. Some of them had actually been acquitted, but somewhere out there, there's a record, which meant they couldn't get a job, couldn't get an apartment, their life was on pause, and we're saying to folk, you ought to go and get a job, where they couldn't get a job because they had to check the box. And can I tell you that one of the most moving moments in my ministry was the day that we organized that one-day expungement event, and I walked into the Ebenezer Sanctuary, and I saw a sea of human faces, and I knew that everybody in church that day had a record. But as I thought about it, because I'm a preacher, that's true every Sunday. Everybody has a record. None of us wants to be defined forever by our worst mistake. And so we expunge those folks' records. Can I tell you this, and I'm going to wrap this up. So we expunged dozens of records that day, and as we got better at it, a couple hundred the next day, next time, then we connected with our friends at the temple, the oldest Jewish congregation in the city. We did it again, and now others are doing it. And one day I was in the barbershop. This is why I know y'all are starting to fall asleep. Nobody even looked at me funny. I was in the barbershop, but I really was in the barbershop. And I was trying to get out of the barbershop, and this man walked up to me. And he said, Rev, you had a great event that day. I said, thank you. I said, what event? He said, the expungement event. I thought he was just congratulating me for having done the event. He said, Rev, no, I see you don't understand. I said, what? He said, you expunged my record that day. He was well-dressed, middle-aged man, lived up to our perceptions, the politics of respectability. But he had made a mistake 20 years ago, and his life had been on pause. But he said, because you cleared my record, I was able to get a better job. My income has improved. My quality of life has improved. My family has improved because somebody gave me a chance. We've got to replicate that work all over this state and all over the country because the United States of America is 5% of the world and we warehouse 25% of the world's prisoners. Much of that driven by the so-called war on drugs is really a war on black and brown communities. And now we're seeing this terrible opioid epidemic driven by the biggest drug pushers in the country, too many of our pharmaceutical companies. And what we've got to do now is not get angry, not engage in the politics of division, but build a multiracial, multi-generational coalition of conscience that will stand up in this defining American moment, recognize that too many of our children are self-medicating, and we ought to address the systemic issues that lead to the sickness. Are you ready? It's time for moral leadership. We've got too many professional politicians who are so focused on the next election, they're not thinking about the next generation. And so as I close, and nobody believes a Baptist preacher when he says, as I close, but as I close, I'm thinking about my dad, the Reverend Jonathan Warnock. God bless his memory. He used to wake me up, I told you, every morning and said, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. He woke me up at dawn. And the thing about dawn is it's morning, but it's still dark. It's dark, but morning is on the way. And I want you to know, DeKalb County, that morning is on the way. Hold on for just a little while longer. Don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Don't give in. Stay in the fight. Get up. Get dressed. Put your shoes on. Get ready. Call your neighbor and tell them to get ready. Call your friends and tell them to get ready. Get ready for what? Get ready to vote. Stand together and fight together and pray together and stay together until we win affordable health care, until we have a livable wage, and until every child has a chance. Get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. Come January 5th, we will win.
To get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock the microphone because I get stupid. I mean outrageous. Stay away from me if you're contagious, cause I'm a winner, no not a loser. To be an MC is what I choose. Ladies love me, girls adore me. I mean even the ones who never saw me like the way that I rhyme at a show. The reason why, man, I don't know, so let's go, cause